In this video, I want to talk about forcing the use of properties. So when I got to listing 4, I was showing in Mod08, I was showing how attributes are created and then you make property procedures to work with those attributes. And we can see that it is indeed working. And when the code runs, it's going and it can read the data out of that attribute. I can set the attributes, it's trying to read the data attribute, and it is private. It's private because it was generated within the constructor. It's not supposed to be accessed directly. You're supposed to use the property procedure. Now, the problem with this is that, yes, it's true that it's there, but it is not completely inaccessible. And that was the issue I want to bring to people's attention, that although it should be completely private, it's not. Python allows you to set it. But what I didn't follow up with was how we should set these attributes up to use the property procedure. So let me talk about that now. The first thing to note is that if you use an attribute like I did in listing 4, when you use the constructor, the value comes in, but it ignores any logic that I might have in the property procedure. Now, the issue here is that it won't do the validation. Now, there's not much validation going on, but it does check to see if you're using numbers, and if you are, you get an error message. If I go ahead and try to test this out, let me add something here. Actually, I don't even need to do that, do I now? Let me just put in some numbers. 1, 2, 3. I'll put a breakpoint here and we'll see how it runs. Okay, so if I walk through here, it comes up and it sets that value to the first name for the attribute. And that works just fine. And the reason why that worked is because I ignored this logic. Now, the best thing to do would have been for me to just go ahead and reference the property. That way, when I use the property, it would do the validation and stop me from putting in things I wasn't supposed to. Now, the odd thing is you don't have to have the attribute defined first. Python will automatically create one. Watch. Comes up here. It tries to set the property, which causes it to jump down to the property procedure. It checks to see if it's numeric. It is, and so it gives an error message. Now let's change that over to Bob again. It comes over, it does a validation, it's fine, and it sets this attribute and that attribute is automatically made. So it's been put into memory. There is a variable that's being used as an attribute of this object called underscore first name, and that's just invisibly applied to it. So now when I go ahead and read the data or change the data, in this case changing it and reading it, it's accessing that hidden invisible automatic attribute. When I try to print it out, if I try to print out directly, it still should cause an error message because it's not, although it's there, it's not directly accessible. And it's not supposed to be. And when I try to assign a value, this time it should still not allow me to assign it. But it does. I said this time, but what I meant is that it still has that issue. Now you're using the hidden attribute, and it does so without an error message, which is kind of bizarre. But hey, that's the way it works. So I guess the key point here is don't do this. You can do it, but not necessarily a good idea. In fact, I would say it's a bad idea because it skips over either your formatting in the getter when you read the data, or the validation in the setter when you set the value, you change the value. Okay, hopefully that follow-up made sense, and thanks for watching.